Once again, you're welcome. And as always, your views and comments are welcome on this show. You can look for us on our social media handles at Joy News on TV, also on at Joy997. The hashtag is Election HQ. We begin this afternoon from the Central Region, where the National Democratic Congress at a news conference today is accusing the opposition New Patriotic Party of recruiting muscled men and also procuring fake materials in a bid to discredit this year's general elections. Let's get more details from Richard Kojo-Nyako, our Central Regional correspondent, who's joining us on the line with details. Richard, good afternoon to you. What evidence do they adduce for these allegations this afternoon?
Well, the only evidence I can find is a document that the one who addressed the press conference, the Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Koku Ayidoho, and he's outlined series of plans that the NPP is planning to orchestrate during and before even the elections. And he's here with me. Let me just get to him and ask. So what are some of these plans that you have discovered that the NPP is planning?
Well, good afternoon, Kojo. I think basically the document that I have, very confidential one, headed methods being hatched by the New Patriotic Party to disrupt the elections and gain an unfair advantage over other contestants. Basically, it's about 20 points, a combination of things they want to do, put some of their people in NBC t-shirts for them to go and misbehave and create the impression that it is the NDC that is misbehaving. They will put, stuff ballot boxes with already templated ballot papers, go and hide them somewhere, get some of their media collaborators to go and look at the thing, and it's as if they've gone and discovered something untoward the NDC wants to do. Of course, in the Volta region, how they plan to fire guns across the border and create them, and supposedly fighting Ghanaians who are living in Togo and prevent them from coming home to come and vote. Of course, if they can get dead bodies around, put them in NPP t-shirts, and create the impression that NPP agents are being lynched. So these are some of the things that we have put out today in the Central Region. Of course, they have targeted the Central Region itself, the kind of things that they want to do here. We've put all out. So it's a mixture of unacceptable things. And you heard me say that it's pretty obvious that the NPP does not want this election.
So have you reported this matter to this?
Yes, we have. We have responsibly done so. We've informed the security agencies. But of course, the media is also critical, especially in the last moment. So it's important that you also use your very powerful avenue to put out this information. But when they hear it, they panic and stop. Or when it happens, it's like, well, we said so. But the whole agenda, we believe, is the NPP wants to disrupt this election, create violence, create chaos. The election doesn't take place. There's a constitutional crisis. Come 7th January, President Mahama's term is over. Then there's a vacuum. So let's form an interim government. Let's share power. Then Akufo-Addo, NPP, they want this portfolio, that portfolio, and just mess up this country's democracy. That's precisely what they want to do, and that's what we are guarding against.
Do we trust this document that you hold?
Kojo, it's a very confidential document. You must trust it. And in fact, in it, some of the things that they said will happen have already begun. For example, this whole Togolese talk. Well, I didn't hear about Omia, put out falsehood about 76,286 Togolese. The other day, Akufo-Addo was in Aflawu speaking French instead of ever, just to create the impression that Aflawu is filled with French-speaking Togolese. So in this document, some of the things that they plan to do, they've already started rolling them out. But it's the election day one, the violence they intend to perpetrate, that has forced us to come out with this document.
So what do you expect the police to do?
Well, we've given them the document. They assure us that they are working at it. But for you as the media, because in this document, like as it says, they have media collaborators they intend to use to put out some of their falsehood. It's important that at this point, you also play your part responsibly. And when it is that it is white, say it is white. If it is black, it is black.
All right, thank you very much. So, Francis, you heard me speak with the person who addressed the news conference, the Deputy General Secretary, Koku Ayidoho. The press conference just came to an end.
All right, thank you, Richard, for that update. And we'll try and get to you some reactions from the Central Regional New Patriotic Party on the allegations being made by the NDC. As we must indicate at this point, we cannot independently authenticate the details of the document that has been produced today at the news conference by the National Democratic Congress. And so we'll try and get you some reactions and also some details on the story that is developing from the Central Region. But back home here in Accra, there are some developments at the Movenpick Hotel, Dennis.
Yes, Raymond Aqua is at the Movenpick Hotel right now, where the EC is meeting the presidential candidates in a bid to get them to commit to a peaceful election. Now, Raymond, how far with that meeting?
Okay, so that particular meeting, third section, closed door, is still ongoing as we speak. I mean, extending beyond the time that we expected to end. We're told it was supposed to be just an hour, but we are heading towards the second hour as we speak. We still know that the president is in that meeting, Vice President Kwesi Bettini-Misata is in that particular meeting, and presidential candidates and vice presidents of the CPP and also the PNC and the NPP are in that meeting. Independent candidate Jacob Osayabo is yet to join that particular meeting. So is Dr. So is the representative of the PPP, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum, and he is vice presidential candidate, have not been around this particular premise as we speak. We know what they are going to tell them is how they can be assured that as returning officer for this particular election, that is for the presidential election, the chairperson herself is doing a presentation showing them what is going to be done differently to make this election, as he calls it, the best one that we've seen so far. They will also, after that, share some thoughts on what the process has been so far, and that is how it's going to end. After that event, then they're moving into the main auditorium. The pacts have already been prepared. They have a 15 minutes each to do a speech and just tell the people that they are committed to free, fair, transparent, and credible elections without violence, but on the silence of what's supposed to be a just engagement.
All right, Raymond, so what does it mean, the absence of the PPP's flag bearer and the independent candidate? Now, you mentioned that after this closed-door meeting, they're supposed to come out and commit. What does their absence mean? Does it automatically mean they're not committed?
I am told that we can separate the two events. First and foremost, their meeting with the EC is what I'm talking about now. We do not know whether Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum will be available for the other meeting. We're told, the EC chairperson told me prior to the commencement of this meeting that even though they invited them, they somewhat turned down the invitation. Mr. Jacob Osayabo agreed to come, but is yet to show up in this particular building. So that is where the difference is. They did not really expect the PPP to come in because from all indications, as the chairperson told me, they were not, as of yesterday, are not given a clear indication that they will be in that meeting. That is different from the time they have to make the commitment, an open commitment. We are told for that particular open commitment, they actually promised to be there.
All right, Raymond, now let's talk about the special envoy from the Commonwealth Mission and the chairman of the EU Observer Mission, Thabo Mbeki, has been making some observations ahead of the elections. What can you tell us?
What they've been saying right from the beginning is that they are here on the invitation of the EC chairperson. I asked the question and asked particularly after 6 successful elections, why is there a need for you to observe Ghana's elections? Thabo Mbeki, who is leading the team, the former South African president, said the EC invited them to come and observe the election. Indeed, they are here to, starting from today, observe every other thing that would happen, and on the 9th of December, give a preliminary report on the activities that have happened up to this day. They will actually deploy their crack team of wonderful observers who've done this work over the years to regions and to specific areas to pick up key indications of how successful, how credible, and how free and fair elections in this country can be. Then their plenary report will come up on the 9th.
Right, thank you very much, Raymond Aqua, for those updates. My colleague Raymond Aqua is reporting live from the Movenpick Hotel, where the Electoral Commission is meeting with presidential candidates to commit to a peaceful election.
Well, speaking of the elections and the work being done by the Observer Mission, the Commonwealth Observer Mission today has been speaking about their optimism ahead of the election, saying that everything will go according to plan. Let's hear from the former South African president, who's the leader of the Observer Mission, Thabo Mbeki.
I'm greatly honored to have been asked by the Commonwealth Secretary General, the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland QC, to lead the Commonwealth Observer Group to Ghana's general elections scheduled for the 7th of December. The group was constituted following an invitation from the Electoral Commission of Ghana, and it is made up of 17 eminent persons drawn from across the different regions of the Commonwealth, including Africa, Asia, Europe, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. They bring a wealth of experience from across the social and political spectrum, including civil society, women's and youth groups, human rights organizations, and the media. And we're here to observe the electoral process and will act impartially and independently as we scrutinize its organization and its conduct. We'll seek to assess the pre-election environment, polling day activities, and the post-election period against the background of Ghana's national legislation and its regional and international commitments. We'll then take a view whether it has been conducted to the international and regional standards to which Ghana has committed itself, including its own laws. And in this context, we look forward to the presidential candidates reaffirming their commitment to peaceful elections in their meeting later this morning. Our planned meetings will be wide-ranging, encompassing the Electoral Commission, political parties, and local stakeholders, including the citizen observers, women's and youth groups. We have already been briefed by our advance observer team, which has been on the ground in Ghana since the 16th of November. And from Sunday, that's the 4th of December, our observers will be deployed across all 10 regions of the country. And they will be in small teams and will arrive to observe preparations ahead of polling day and meet with political parties, the police, election officers, and other stakeholders. And on election day, they will observe the opening, the voting, the closing, the counting, and the results management processes. We'll then issue an interim statement on our preliminary findings on the 9th of December. And the final report will then be prepared and submitted to the Commonwealth Secretary General and subsequently shared with the relevant stakeholders and the public. And the group will leave Ghana on the 13th of December 2016. We are aware of the significance of these elections to the people of Ghana. And our presence here as this Commonwealth Observer Group confirms the support of the Commonwealth to the country and its democratic processes. And we will try to perform our observation role with impartiality, with independence and transparency. And indeed, we are quite certain that our presence here will confirm the solidarity of the Commonwealth with the people of Ghana. And on behalf of the group, we as an observer group wish the people of the Republic of Ghana well as they go out on Wednesday to exercise their franchise in conditions of peace. And I must say thank you very much indeed to the observers themselves for being here for this initial statement. Thanks a lot.
So that's the former South African President, Thabo Mbeki. He's actually the leader of the Commonwealth Observer Mission in the country to monitor Ghana's general elections, which comes off on December 7th. Special voting is happening today. We'll bring you more on that in just a moment. But let's head to the courts now, where the court has granted businessman Alfred Agbeshi-Woyome the request to hold proceedings in terms of the examination of him by the former Attorney General Martin Amidu at the Supreme Court. Let's bring you details now. Joseph Akabla is joining me on the line from the court. Joseph, what was the reasons given by the court as regards this ruling today? We'll get to Joseph in just a moment. Joseph is with us now. Joseph, good afternoon. I was asking what reasons the court gave in granting Mr. Woyome his request.
Well, Francis, the point the judge made is the fact that as it stands, Mr. Woyome had, apart from requesting that the court put
the oral examination on hold, he has also applied to the court challenging the earlier decision allowing the oral examination in the first place. Now, that motion will be moved in court on Tuesday, just a day before election on December 6th. We'll be moving that motion in court. So the point the judge is making is that that motion, once it's moved, and if they are played before a three-member panel, the judge says whatever decision that panel may take, they may either decide to quash his earlier ruling allowing the oral examination, or they may decide to grant it. So he says that ruling or that hearing that will be taking place has the ability to have a substantial impact on the substantive matter before the court. So it's therefore important and in the interest of justice and fairness that he grants the request to put the proceedings on hold pending that particular matter being dealt with. But so as it stands, in terms of the oral examination, has been adjourned to December 15th. But on Tuesday, Mr. Woyeme goes back to court to challenge the decision to allow Mr. Amidu examine him orally in court.
Okay, what was the reaction first of Mr. Amidu to this?
Mr. Amidu was not happy with this one coming in from the court, but even before that judgment was delivered, quite a heated argument before him and lawyer for Mr. Woyeme, as well as a banter between lawyer for Mr. Woyeme and the judge, Justice Eninya, but to the extent of Mr. Woyeme's lawyer telling the judge that it appears the judge has a problem with them. The judge was not very happy with that point. It bordered on the point that Mr. Amidu made in court that again, on 29th of this month, he received another document from Mr. Woyeme's lawyers, and he says they found it late and they served it to him late, and that is a supplementary affidavit, and he says they are acting in an unfair manner towards him. So it was a response that a judge sought from lawyers for Mr. Woyeme, and in the course of the exchange, lawyers for Mr. Woyeme used the word that earlier when they came to court, Martin Amidu protested today having a hearing because of the late service. There was at that point that the judge said he shouldn't use the word protest, he should rather use objection. And lawyer Anku didn't take that lightly, and he made a point that it appears the judge has a problem with them. The judge was very unhappy, and the judge even asked him to come closer to you and have a look at the documents before him and a number of cases before him. The judge said that I have several cases, I don't go around looking for cases. So you can't just come here and say to me that, do I have a problem with you? The judge said he has no interest in the matter, and all he's interested in is that the rule of law stands supreme. So those were some of the heated exchanges that took place in court. In fact, Mr. Amidu again said in open court that Mr. Woyeme had not come to the court with clean hands. He said it was important that even before people go to the polls and decide who they will be offering, which type of leadership they will be offering the country, they hear why the man who is owing the country so much has still not paid the money. So that was some of the arguments that took place in court and some of the heated exchanges between lawyers on both sides. But all in all, Mr. Amidu was not happy about the fact that that matter has been put on hold, but he's willing to come back on Tuesday to argue before the court, hoping that they will not get a reversal of the earlier decision allowing him to examine Mr. Woyeme. Okay,
Joseph, was there any representation from the Attorney General's office today?
Yes, in fact, the Chief State Attorney, Mrs. Efiye, also represented the AG. But interestingly, in terms of the argument, when Mr. Woyeme's lawyer made a request for the stay of proceedings, Mr. Amidu argued against. The Attorney General's position was that they had no legal argument to make. Then the judge asked, is it a case that they are opposing the motion or they are not opposing? Then the AG's representative replied that they are not opposing the motion, which means that they agreed with Woyeme's request for a stay of proceedings. Francis.
Finally, the man who sent this suit to court, businessman Afedagbesi Woyeme, he's been granted this motion. What was his reaction today in court?
He wouldn't say anything to us, but I mean, clearly, those who were accompanying him were happy about this one coming up. He just walked briskly and left the courtroom. Same with Martin Amidu. They wouldn't say anything to us, but clearly, those who were among him, some aides as well as some close confidants who often come to court with him, they had a look of excitement written over their faces. But the big one definitely is on Tuesday, Francis. Okay, we'll look out for that as well. Thank you, Joseph. I can play with details from the Accra High Court. So if you're just joining us, the news is that the court has granted businessman Afedagbesi Woyeme to hold the examination of him by the former Attorney General Martin Amidu. That case has been deferred to the 15th of this month. Determination will be done. There were some heated exchanges today in the court between Martin Amidu and lawyer for Mr. Woyeme, lawyer Anku. We'll bring you more on the story later on in our subsequent bulletins. If you just join us, this is the Midday News Live on the Joy News channel of Multi TV, also live on Joy 99.7 FM. We're bringing you a comprehensive coverage also of the special voting underway across the country. It's been more than 5 hours. We'll bring you an update on some of the developments we're picking up in the last hour. Details after this break. Stay with us.
You're welcome back to your election headquarters. This is the Midday News on Joy News on Multi TV, also on Joy 99.7 FM. We're bringing you special coverage of the special voting ongoing across the country today in the 284 polling stations for the 127,000 who are eager to cast their ballots, their votes today across the country. My name is Francis Aban.
And I'm Bernice Abubedu. We are very interactive on Facebook. Our name is Joy News on TV. Same name will find us on Twitter, also Joy 99.7 FM on Twitter and Facebook. On WhatsApp, you can send us your message and opinion via the number 0560-800,000. And let's head now to the Dome Kwabena constituency, where my colleague Komla Dome is monitoring the special event, special election exercise over there. Hello, Komla. Hello, Komla, can you hear me? Well, unfortunately, we've lost him on the line there, but let's pick a few of your comments. And Prince Roxon from East Legon, you're saying that disenfranchisement of qualified, willing voters is against the Constitution and it can have dire consequences, including a suit against the EC. So the EC must handle this with tact and efficiency before the general election. And many people are willing to vote this year, and that is from Roxon in East Legon. This one says complacency seems to be the hallmark of this election. Please tell the EC that it has the responsibility of carrying out its duties transparently to ensure peace. For if there's no peace, no EC official can work. So that's his message there.
Okay. Now, Bernice, as we try and get through to Komla in the Dome Kwabena constituency, let's quickly head to the Volta region and bring you an update on the special voting exercise. Mali Evuagbi is in the capital hall joining us now. Mali, good afternoon to you. What can you report?
Yeah. Your call has been put.
Okay, that hold will be unheld in just a moment here on your election headquarters. We'll get an update with Mali Evuagbi from the Volta regional capital here.
Now let's head to the Dome Kwabena constituency.
Okay.
We have Komla back on the line. Hello, Komla.
Okay, Komla, if you can hear me, good afternoon to you. I'm asking about the updates from the Dome Kwabena constituency. How's the special voting going? Komla, can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Francis.
Great. I'm asking, give us an update on the special voting in that constituency.
All right. The special voting has been ongoing here at the Dome Kwabena constituency, specifically at the Dome Kwabena police station here, where some 797 people are expected to cast their votes in the special exercise here. But as of now, about 180 of them have been successful, while scores of other people, over 100 security service personnel, have not been able to do that because their names are not on the register. I have been speaking with the presiding officer here in the person of John Abravo, who's been telling me that the only option for such persons is to turn up on December 7th to vote. But some of the aggrieved personnel who were unable to vote have been saying they've been traveling all around the country, traveling from Yendi, for example, some from the Bonohafo region to come here to cast their votes, only to arrive here for their names not to be on the register, on the special voting list. I earlier spoke to the MP for Dome Kwabena, lawyer Adjasafo, who has been expressing some disappointment and expressing worry over the cloud of uncertainty that's been created by the issues that's been arising from these reports that people are unable to find their names on the special voting list. He's been raising questions as to how the EC is going to ensure that all these people find a way of casting their ballots before December 7th or on December 7th itself to prevent the people from being disenfranchised, Francis. Earlier, I was at the Medina constituency, specifically the Medina police station, where out of a total of about 1,195 security officials to cast their votes, about 392 of them had cast their votes at the time I left the place. One of the key personnel at the police station who couldn't find his name was the divisional MTTU commander of Medina in the person of DSP Samuel Ediboy, and he couldn't find his name on the voting list, even though the polling station is directly under his nose. And so they were also worried as to how they were going to be able to cast their vote before December 7, where we know that all of these people are going to be ensuring that security is maintained across the country during the polls, Francis.
Now, Komla, you've given us an update from two constituencies, Medina Abokobi and Dom Kwabenya. For those who are unable to vote, did they tell you what they will do? Komla, can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost Komla Ademola, but he's given us the updates on the situation in both constituencies. So, Bernice, clearly it's looking as though quite a number of them are unable to vote. Medina alone, over 100. Dome Kwabenya, almost an equal figure being reported. Let's check out the situation in the voter region.
Yes, let's speak to Mauli Yevuakbi. Hello, Mauli. Hello, Mauli, can you hear me?
Hello, Bernice, I can hear you, sir.
Yes, what can you report from Ho, please?
Yes, at the Ho Central Special Voting.
Well, hello, Mauli. We seem to be having some challenge with our phone lines there. But let's pick some of your comments here on WhatsApp. And this one says, it's disturbing to hear from most of your correspondents across the region similar challenges where voters' names are conspicuously missing while others are duplicated on the final register. And you are asking that a top official from the Electoral Commission should speak to the matter to avert heightened anxiety and some speculations ahead of the main elections on December 7. Patrick in Takwa, you're saying you are grateful for the updates you're hearing here on Joy FM and watching on Joy News. Your only problem is that some of the answers, well, unfortunately, your message is a bit complicated. Yeah. Please keep it simple and straight to the point. And this one says, I personally believe that we are making some good headway. It looks as if there's one common problem that cuts across the constituencies, which is that many people cannot find their names on the list. You do not want to hold brief for the EC, but you'd like us to remember that we are still a developing country and that some voters may not have transferred their votes as special and voters in a reasonable in good time, you mean, which of course is not the fault of the EC. Samuel Darko sending that from Virginia in the United States.
So clearly, as we are getting a lot of the comments coming through, the worry is there about the hundreds who are not getting the opportunity to go and vote today. The 127,000 that are billed to vote, many of them are raising the concerns about their inability to vote. And it's clearly a matter that the Electoral Commission in the coming days will have to give us some answers to, in terms of what happens for these individuals, especially with the role they play and the security they will have to provide on December 7 at all the 29,000 polling stations across the country. So checking on what the situation is across the country, let's head to the Ablekuma North constituency now. Fred Smith is joining us now with an update. Fred, good afternoon to you. What's the picture at that polling center?
Well, good afternoon, Francis. The Ablekuma North constituency center is at the Dakuma police station, and they're having the same challenges. There are several people whose names cannot be found on the register, but the electoral officers here have a unique way of dealing with the problem. They are writing down all the names of those who cannot find the names in the register and asking them to check at the Electoral Commission. I don't know exactly what they will do about the situation, but at least they are documenting all those whose names cannot be found here, and then they will forward it to the Electoral Commission headquarters for something to be done about it.
Okay, so much as they are writing down the names, what about those whose names are being taken? Are they taking this lightly?
Well, they are satisfied with this because it seems to be the only way out for them. Are not resting after their names have been written. They are moving to other constituencies around because their names could be found. I just spoke to a lady who tries to work for the Electoral Commission, and she came here. She used to live here at Dakuma, and she came here. She went to other places. She did not find her name, and finally came here. Her name was here. And there are others who are also saying they've been to 4 other voting centers before finding their names at the Dakuma police station. So the advice is that if you do not find your name at the voting center that you've been to, go to others around. If possible, your name will be there.
For the constituency at Ablekuma North, do we know, despite all these challenges, how many have been able to cast their votes today?
Well, 544 voters expected to cast their ballot today. 199 have been able to do so in the last 10 or so minutes, as the electoral officials report.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Fred Smith, for the details from the Ablikumanot constituency in the Greater Accra region. What is clear, in spite of all that we're hearing from across the country, this particular constituency, the EC officials are doing something different, jotting down the names of every individual whose name cannot be found on the list in a bid to try and rectify the problem and relay the information to the headquarters for some clarity. So whatever the challenge is, it can be resolved. Yes, there may be a problem, but there's some efforts to correct the anomaly and get the individuals to exercise their franchise in deciding who becomes the president and also their representative in parliament. Now, we have been bringing you in the last 5 hours a lot of reports from our correspondents on the ground in the regions, the 10 regions of the country, plus the various constituencies therein. Now, many of these individuals who have not been able to exercise their franchise have been speaking to us. We'll bring you some of those interviews in just a moment. But let's speak to Anas Sabit. He's with our our affiliate station, Gaskia FM. He has been speaking, in fact, to some EC officials in Techiman in the Brownsville region.
So far, about 300 people have come to cast their votes. We started smoothly in the morning, and the process is also going on smoothly. We've not encountered anything that has brought the election to a halt. The only thing is that those who registered in different constituencies and have to go to those constituencies to go and vote. That is what some of them are not too comfortable with. But because it's a biometric process, that is where their names are, and that is where they have to go and vote. Yes.
So those who are coming from far and are unable to vote today, can they get the opportunity to vote on election day?
Yeah, if your name is on the special vote and you don't vote, that ends it. That ends it. And so if your name is not on it, and then you have registered voter in this constituency, then on the election day, if you are placed at where you registered, then you can go and cast your vote whilst you are working.
So over here, have you had security officers who are unable to find their names?
I have not taken statistics of that, but of course there should be, because I don't expect all security officers to have registered in this constituency. Yes.
In all, what's the total number of people expected?
Yeah, we're expecting 788 people to come and cast their votes.
So far, we have about 300.
Yes, we are heading towards 300. Yes.
So your total assessment of the exercise
it's been good. As you can see, the process is going on smoothly. Logistically, we are okay. And so once the process is going on, and we can conclude that it's
right. So that's some of the EC officials speaking to us in the Brownsville region, specifically in Techiman. And Asabet with our affiliate station Gaskia FM brought us that interview in helping us to appreciate the picture across the country. Bernice, let's head to which constituency now?
The Lejokuku constituency. We've been there. We picked up some news about a bit of confusion, but we spoke to Hannah Odami, who is a woman on the ground, and she said Calm had returned. But let's go back there and speak to her. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Benny.
Yes, what's the situation now? Good afternoon.
Okay, so at the Tuku, I told you there was some confusion, but the EC official and the agents, they agreed on how the ballot box should be placed. And so now it's facing each other. The parliamentary and presidential are facing each other. And anyone who goes in is seen, just that you don't see who they can print their vote for. And so there's a lot of agreements there. You know, 1,526 people are expected to vote there. After the time I was moving from there to Kole Clote, about 500 of them had voted. Now, what the EC official there has done is to split the queues into three, so that when you come, the first thing you do is go to queue 3. You go and check if your name is in the ballot, your name is in the list, because it has been emerged that a lot of the people who come there do not have their names in the list. So you check first if your name is there before you even join the queue. Now you go and join a queue based on your surname. So if your surname starts from A to Z, A to Y, A to B, sorry, A to N, you join a particular queue. If it starts from N to Z, you also join Q2. So there's a lot of understanding, and calm has returned, and voting is underway.
All right, Hannah, thank you very much. We'll come back to you to pick up what you're observing at the Clotte constituency, but now we'd have to go back to the Mervynpick Ambassador Hotel here in Accra, where the chairman of the Peace Council...
Peace Council, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, is addressing that program. That's supposed to be a group of all the stakeholders in the elections meeting with the candidates with the Commonwealth Mission. Let's cross over live to the Mervynpick Ambassador Hotel.
Our declaration, which will soon be signed this morning, has undoubtedly been inspired by our belief that our leaders, political and across all sectors, are collectively united in doing everything possible for credible election, justice and peace and unity. This accord is indeed anchored in the Kumasi Peace Pact, which was the declaration against electoral violence, impunity, and injustice. The declaration served as bedrock to the peaceful management and resolution of the challenges that occurred over the results of the 2012 presidential elections. It was a public manifestation of the commitment of our political leaders to the freedom and justice, peace and unity and prosperity of this beautiful nation of ours. We are brothers and sisters, and we are all aware that there is so much we have to do to deepen the unique and invaluable relationship. That indeed is a long-term project, but the most important thing is that we must, first of all, accomplish our immediate goals, which is to ensure that the 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections will be clean, credible, free and fair, and devoid of any violence, localized or widespread. To achieve this goal, we need our leaders, our presidential candidates, to reaffirm their commitment to the principles some of them adopted in 2012 at the Kumasi Peace Pact. This is the reason why we are here. In short, while we will be hearing from our leaders, and I believe that they will be speaking from their hearts and minds as they demonstrate collective commitment to work hard for Ghana and serve the nation's interests to the best of their abilities. As the Peace Council, we know a lot is expected of us, and for our part, we are committed to doing so in this election and beyond. The Peace Council wishes all of us gathered here will support and work together with our presidential candidates, the Electoral Commission, the CSOs, the international missions, and security forces, and indeed all the people of Ghana, to ensure that this election will be the best, peaceful, and credible election we've ever had. It is not beyond us to achieve this goal, and we all have to work extremely hard to achieve this. This will require that we declare zero tolerance of any attempt to undermine the integrity of the election and the credibility of its results, which must be seen to be so by every Ghanaian. We are confident that today's event will inspire the nation and assure everyone that our leaders are committed to freedom and justice and peace and unity, and that our forefathers fought what our forefathers fought for on behalf of us all. Ghana's democratic peace and unity is vital, and let's all do the right things to secure this. Finally, let me thank the United Nations and also the missions to Ghana, as well as the special representative of the UN Secretary General responsible for West Africa and the Sahel region, His Excellency Mohammed Ibn Chambas, for supporting the Peace Council in convening this meeting and indeed bringing all of you here together. We look forward to the support of the diplomatic missions and the international organizations and all other well-wishers of Ghana. We continue with our efforts to improve the condition for strengthening Ghana's democratic stability, peace, and unity after the forthcoming elections. Our singular hope is that this will be the last time that we gather to sign peace pact, and that our efforts now and after the election should lead us to more confident place where in 2020 election and beyond, violence, impunity, injustice will not be the reason why we gather. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
And I will have the President, the House of Chiefs, give us his plan.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, Your Excellency, Madam Salif of the Republic of Liberia, Your Leadership, Madam Georgina Wood, Your Excellency, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, Your Excellency, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, Your Excellencies, Nananum, President of the National Peace Council, Professor Asante, members of the National Peace Council, our presidential candidates, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Apart from being citizens of the land, we, the chiefs of Ghana, have a special interest in the peace of this country. First, as custodians of the land, we have ultimate responsibility for the maintenance of peace. Politicians will come and go, but we stay as the guardians of our people for the rest of our lives. As leaders, we recognize that leadership is not an end in itself. And to be relevant, we must address the needs of our people. And the most important of our people is development. Development that brings enhancement of living, jobs, and etc. And which development cannot happen unless we have peace. Naturally, therefore, as chiefs, we are very, very concerned about the level of development in our country, poverty levels, levels of deprivation among people, and etc. Unfortunately, this appears to be a tragedy of the black race from Haiti in the Caribbean, across West Africa, right up to the Horn of Africa. We think the nature of our politics has a lot to do with the state of affairs. The acrimony, the anger, the rancor that features in our politics gives the impression that it's all about struggle for the control of resources, as opposed to an honest and humble appeal to the people for a mandate to lead them. This is a big moral hazard problem. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our prosperity requires that we join hands to lift high the flag of our nation and again work together to make her great and strong. We as leaders share a special privilege and an obligation in this regard. Within the context of the forthcoming elections, it requires that our actions whatever we say, whatever we do, go to promote love and understanding among our people. We should all commit to fairness, remembering that tension results from suspicion that one is about to cheat the other, and also remembering that chaos, anarchy, and maybe wars with a result where everybody tries to cheat. Let's remember that a peaceful outcome is the interest of everybody. The people desire peace, while our government will need a peaceful environment to govern. So indeed, a peaceful outcome satisfies everybody. To sum up my brief message, I have this for all of us. Our people ask us to provide leadership. They have aspirations. We must prove to them that we are willing to provide a better leadership than they can ever imagine, so they can have their desires for development, their desires for jobs, incomes, and the basic necessities of life. I ask that our chiefs show the way, and I ask that we all put our national interests, our national identity, ahead of all selfish personal interests. And I believe with the right intention and honest desire, we shall succeed. And 4 years from now, we shall not have reason to be back here again. Thank you all very much.
You're live on the Joy News channel on Malta TV, also live on Joy 99.7 FM. We're bringing you special coverage of the special voting exercise and all the related matters today across the country.